Hi guys, something the Tories have succeeded in achieving in the last 14 years when it comes to both GPs and the NHS is making people angry with the level of healthcare they receive. This is not by mistake, but by design. Here a lady uploaded a video to social media which contains strong language about the lack of proper support she received on the public healthcare system. She describes her condition and the lack of proper treatment she received. Her anger is completely justified, but I feel is directed at the wrong people. Have a listen.
Let's talk about why the NHS is shit. Well, sorry, maybe not all the NHS, but the doctor's surgeries are fucking shite. Sorry, it really makes me angry. So 9 weeks ago, my life changed. I've just been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Had to go private as my surgery wouldn't even see me. So I was ringing my surgery every other day in absolute agony. Couldn't leave my bed. They did eventually send me for some blood test, but they got lost. So, because they got lost, they were like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Take some paracetamol, take some ibuprofen. I was ringing up asking for stronger meds. They wouldn't give me anything. I was asking for a referral. They wouldn't refer me. They just left me. There were times I wanted to ring myself an ambulance. And then they wonder why A&E is overrun. It's because the doctors are not fucking seeing people. I was literally ringing up my surgery, crying, like in an absolute mess. I don't go doctors. Rare, like maybe once a year I use the doctors. Like I was begging, please help me. And no, nothing. I think doctors' surgeries have got a lot to answer for.
Now, I don't know if her anger is directed at the doctor's surgeries here or if it's directed at the government, but first of all, my heart goes out to her because she's going through hell, I imagine, at the moment, or she was going through hell until she got the treatment on privately. But why is this happening? The Conservatives over the last 14 years have made a political decision which resulted in fewer GPs being available. They've made political decisions that have resulted in the NHS having fewer doctors and nurses available. The NHS is understaffed. Now think about it from the point of view of the staff. They're working more to make up for fewer staff. So of course they're going to be burnt out. They're going to make mistakes. Now, you or I, if we're not working in healthcare and we make a mistake, the consequences are pretty trivial. But if a doctor or a nurse makes a mistake, it could impact somebody's life. It could cost a life. It could cost people's quality of life. So we don't want doctors and nurses to be burnt out. We want the state to make sure that there are sufficient doctors and nurses, an oversupply even, so that if there is an emergency like a pandemic, that you don't have to scramble. Now, there aren't enough GPs. That's clear. And part of that is related to Brexit, the ending of freedom of movement. That was another political decision. If there are not enough GPs, it means that the GPs are not going to be able to see people. If they're not able to see people, people are going to have to wait, and then conditions become chronic or become more severe. This is part of the problem. And it's understandable that when people try to contact a GP and they can't get through, they're angry with the GP. That's completely acceptable. It's understandable, I should say. When they try to contact the NHS, they can't get through, or they can't get a referral. They can't get their blood tests results because there aren't enough staff available. And it's completely understandable that people are angry about that. And of course, they're going to direct their anger at the person on the other end of the phone. They're going to direct their anger at the GP. But the problem is higher. The problem is the state. If the government have not put in place the measures, then they are ultimately responsible. Ordinary people are not going to interact with the government. Ordinary people are not going to interact with the health minister or the health secretary. But it's the health secretary and minister that make the decision whether the NHS has enough GPs, has enough staff, has enough resources, has enough equipment, is able to deal with the backlog. Because if they decide, no, we're not going to do that, if we're not going to put in place the measures necessary, then ordinary people are going to suffer the consequences. And ordinary people are going to turn their ire towards the first person they see in the NHS or in the doctor's surgery. Once again, it's completely understandable the anger this lady has, but the anger must be directed at who is ultimately responsible, and that was the Tories over the last 14 years. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.